Week and a half in Southern California, starting off here in Irvine. It just stopped raining. All right, 2 cartloads, 2 FX9s, 1 teleprompter, 1 Aperture 300 with a parabolic box, my tool chest with all the support kit, switcher, 2 ProRes recorders, my MacBook, 2 tripods, decimator, and miscellaneous cable bag, rolls of tape. I think this is all I need at the first location for the first day. I do need to come back out for 1 roller stand and a C-stand. C-stand for the backlight, roller stand for the aperture. All right, we are basically done for today. Stage the gear in the hall here. I get this big vacant technology office, and I've set up my own little workspace in the hallway. Got my tech table here. Got my other carts over here. Okay. You worked here before?
No. But coffee shop I go to is literally down the street. One go. It's pretty good.
I pick it up for you tomorrow.
Yeah, let me know how much.
How much?
Yeah.
$400.
You got it.
Okay, day 2 is a studio location. This is a continuation of the previous day, but that office location was a walk away from me. I left all of my gear there except for cameras, tripods, and this 1 monitor package. And then for crew on this one, I brought in a gaffer with an electrician, so a electric team of 2, and then I have a B-cam operator, Oski. And I worked with the gaffer to get the initial lighting plot put together while Oski built my 2 FX9s and the Pocket 6K on the gimbal. We ran a 50mm and 85mm all day on the 2 Sonys, and I jumped between the 11-16 and 24-70 on the gimbal. So this is a music video live performance with a band. It's actually 2 different bands, and this is content for roll-in packages at an event. And there's Chris kind of roughing things in. This was the classic music assignment where the band's not there, the instruments aren't there, none of our set decorations there, but they want us to light the scene. And it's like, well, okay. So the instrument truck arrived, and this was from a rental house in Hollywood. And these guys built all the kit, and they kind of knew where things were going to be. So it took the instrument guys about an hour to get everything set up. Totally reasonable. I mean, that included a baby grand piano that had to be assembled. And so we just kept our lights, grip, and camera swept off to the side. Let the guys break. There's a coffee shop in this complex. So sent my crew to go eat with all the gear staged while the instruments got set up. And then sure enough, instrument guys finish and leave. Crew's not back from coffee, and the client arrives with hair on fire. Like, what is going on? Where is everybody? How come we aren't set up? What's the frame look like? Show me what's going on. Why aren't they here? Where is everyone? I'm like, oh, it's okay, we're good. They just finished setting up the equipment. They're getting coffee. Classic, longest 5 minutes of my life trying to diffuse stress. So we rolled on time. I think we were 15 minutes past our scheduled roll time for take 1. Shout out the masters. This was it was entirely an aperture show. We had 1 of my 300Ds and I think 3 more 300Ds from Chris's truck. That's 600Ds lighting up the vocalist. I've got a 1200 in the background as a kicker on the entire band. And I positioned an additional, I forget now, I think it was 4 60Xs in frame about 5 feet off the ground, just blasting straight back, downstage towards camera. And then we had my Geminis on the ground, 2x1 Geminis, as well as an aperture equivalent. I forget the model number. And then we did 2 different color washes. There was 2 different songs, 1 band per song. So just to change up the look a little bit. And then we put all the road cases and equipment cases from the instruments in the background to help just kind of stage a look here. Because otherwise we were just in a big empty studio space, white walls, polished concrete floor. And I actually caught the tree of stage C-stands frame left to help fill in the frame a bit. Just using these again as a kind of a mid-ground layer behind our subjects to flare and ping the lens and just try to make things look a little more interesting as the cameras move around. There's Oski, my op on the left, and Chris, the gaffer, on the right. Chris and I go back 20 plus years. Oski 5, 6, maybe 7 years. And Chris and I, our first job together, I've got a photo. I'll see if I can throw it up here. We worked on a TV show, golf show that ran, I believe, on the Golf Channel. We were in Palm Springs, California. We hit all the resorts in Palm Springs over the course of a couple of weeks. Sony F900 HD cams. We had a Steadicam op.
How would you do it?
Differently from this.
So this has probably never happened in the music video world. We had a 8 a.m. call time, and we were taillights at 1500, and we shot out 2 songs, 4 passes per track, and the band didn't even rehearse, which you can kind of see it in the first pass, the wide. They weren't quite in sync, but time is money. Coming up as an electrician in my early 20s in Hollywood, one thing they hammer into you is this concept of touch it once. And you can see it here as they head wrapped out each instrument. Basically, wherever the light was working, it just gets collapsed down, coiled and inventoried, head feeder, power cord, ballast. Request from a viewer here on my vlog. They wanted dimensions on these wooden boxes I made for my Gemini lights. I got the Geminis when they were first released, and cases were not yet available. And I needed to build something that could be stacked and abused in trucks. So these are just 3/4 inch plywood, and the interior dimensions you'll see here are as follows. And I just carpet lined these. So 30.5 inches wide. And as I get in position here for the next dimension, depth is 21 inches. Now I used a staple gun to attach this carpet. This is just that inexpensive Home Depot carpet, industrial carpet. It's the same stuff I'm using to line my van years later. And okay, here's your next dimension. Looks like 7.25. And so it's just 3/4 ply ripped down on a table saw. I built both of these boxes out of one 4x8 sheet. And then I used corner brackets, just metal L brackets on the interior down at the bottom and along the top between the carpet and the plywood with 3/4 inch wood screws. I now have a pocket hole jig, which is a better way with pocket screws to put it together. I have a Craig pocket jig. Day 3, back at the corporate office, and this was a same setup repeated throughout the campus with different executives, senior management, teleprompter looking into a camera, and then there's a Flanders 21-inch monitor just below prompter that's graphics, PowerPoint slides. So a lot of these executives had a slide presentation in addition to written copy, and in some cases they would alternate between like a scrolled prompted intro and then they jump into slide presentation and then go back to copy. In other cases we just sent the slides directly through the teleprompter. And then for my lighting setup, again, we just redid the same thing, alternating B angle and key light per person based on what was more favorable as a backdrop. You can see I've got a 6x overhead 5-in-1 reflector. That's to cut all of the can lighting from downlighting and pinging, like giving people the talent raccoon eyes. And then I've got a light panel on a C-stand arm, a newer panel armed out, just to glow shoulders. Like everyone was in suit jackets from, I think, yeah, exclusively. So I just wanted to have a nice soft wrap on their shoulders, give them a little separation from the background. Try to keep, I'm not a big fan in these corporate settings of having a bunch of backlight on hair. So I that's why I like the panel kind of parallel with the floor. And then I just pan it forward and back to control the amount of spill on the top of the head versus shoulders. So here's our rolling tech table, which was a table we found in the office that had wheels. So we've got 2 laptops on here. Nick's running the teleprompter copy, and then the MacBook frame right is the PowerPoint slides, and then in the center is a ProRes recorder that's got a timecode box to synchronize it to the cameras. Everything's synced time of day. And then I've got a quad split feed of the 2 camera angles and the PowerPoint slides feeding the monitor for producer and clients to sign off. Here's a view under the teleprompter of the graphics monitor for talent to keep an eye on things. I was first exposed to this setup in broadcast studio settings. Like TV news is very common where you've got the return feed of the show displayed just below prompter, and in a studio environment where the cameras are on pedestals, that monitor is attached to the teleprompter, which is in turn attached to the fluid head, so everything can roll, pan, tilt as one unit. And in more recent years with these corporate settings, we're using it for like this graphics, and in the last 3 years doing the Zoom feeds, often I've got the person conducting the interview in the teleprompter and the subject's got their notes or their slides down below. New setup, same concept, new presenter, different area of the office. You can see here the 105 parabolic softbox. I love this thing. I waited way too long to buy one. Should have picked one up a couple years ago, but also I generally have a van package on these bigger shoots that's already got this stuff on that side, so I didn't really need to own it. This background has a blue wall and then a boring white wall with vertical blinds, so we brought in a Gemini with a blue wash to make the blue wall match the white wall, match the blue wall, and then added this rolling monitor with some artwork from the company. And this is all out of focus in the background, kind of shooting into the corner. And I would say that out of a week of shooting in this office, this is by far my favorite backdrop. Initially, I thought we were going to need the grid on the key light to control the spill on our blue wash. But as it turned out, that key was hitting the blue artwork, which needed more light. So it worked better without the grid. For all this office work, we had call times between 8 and 9 a.m. each day. And we wrapped early every day, or I guess we worked corporate hours, but we were basically out of there at between 3:30 and 4:30 each day, which allowed me to, every day I was in town, I was able to go train at my old gym right by my old house. Driving to my old gym, the stretch of road is mixed emotions each day. This was my commute home for 20 years, living in Laguna Niguel, California. We had a house, if you look at the ridge line here in frame, just over the ridge was my home base for a long, long time, and most appreciated this stretch of road flying in from airline jobs in other parts of the country. I'd say South OC is one of the most beautiful and temperate places to live in the United States.